Hi everyone, it's me, Sandy Cruz of Sandy K Nutrition, Health and Lifestyle Queen. For years now, I've been bringing to you conversations about wellness from experts from all over the world. Whether it be suggestions in how you can age better, biohacking, alternative wellness, these are conversations to help you live your best life. I want to live a long, healthy, and vibrant life. Never mind all those stigmas that as we reach midlife and beyond, we're just going to shrivel up and die with some horrible disease. Always remember, balanced living works. I really look forward to this season. Hi everyone, welcome to Sandy K Nutrition, Health and Lifestyle Queen. Today I have a great conversation with Sigmar Berg of Lovetuner. And we talk all about healing frequencies, the frequency of love, the state of the world, and how much better it might be with a little more love in our hearts, and how to maybe achieve that. I'm going to let you listen to the entire conversation. I do have a discount code. Remember, this is case sensitive. It will be in my show notes. Sandy K, that's capital S, lowercase A-N-D-Y, capital K, capital. Do people even say that anymore? Uppercase. Geez, I'm old school. Anyway, I have been using the Lovetuner for months now, and I love it. It is not like all of those TikTok things you see, that little flute that you see. It's not the same. This is patented. I want to make that really, really clear at the beginning. I think Sigmar and I do touch on this, but it's a great conversation. I'm going to ask for you to share this with at least one friend. How about that? Just one friend. That actually helps to give back to me, who provides you with content each and every week, just to help you live your best life, help you live healthier, happier. And that's body, mind, spirit, and soul. You guys know I'm never just about the science. So this is one of those conversations I'm going to ask you to share. I'm also going to ask you, wherever you listen, to hit follow on my podcast and be sure to rate. So rating is when you give it a 5-star review, but reviewing is actually when you give it a few kind words so that people will say, I like this. I resonate with this. I'm going to follow this, or I'm going to listen to this. That just really helps to give back to me energetically. I really appreciate you guys. I'm also going to ask you to follow me on all of my socials. You'll find me anywhere: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. It's Sandy K Nutrition, wherever you listen or do social media. I'm kind of everywhere, you guys. Also, I would ask if you're interested in exploring your wellness, not by somebody telling you how it is, but by short essays to really help you explore whether something resonates or not. I do have some natural health supplement protocols in there for prevention. I have all sorts of explorative articles to really help you live your best life. You can go and subscribe to my Substack, sandycruz.substack.com, and that's SandyKruse.substack, substack.com. All of this will be in the show notes. The way that you can get your own Lovetuner will be in the show notes. And yeah, let's cut on through to this amazing interview with Sigmar. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sandy K Nutrition, Health and Lifestyle Queen. Today with me, I have a special guest. His name is Sigmar Berg, and he is an Austrian-American entrepreneur, artist, photographer, and fashion designer. He is the creator of the Lovetuner, which is a mindfulness tool that transmits the frequency of 528 hertz, known as the frequency of love and divine healing. Sigmar had a successful career and social life that he left behind to experience a spiritual awakening, which led him to his divine mission of love and creating the Lovetuner. And today, Sigmar and I are going to be talking all about healing frequencies and how they actually work to heal us. And we're going to talk a lot about Sigmar's mission. And I personally am very, very passionate about this topic. I feel like the world needs just a little more love, don't you?
Yeah, let's talk about frequency and vibration.
Yeah, let's get into it. Welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. And you have a really interesting background. Why don't you tell us about this?
The Lovetuner background or my entire story?
I guess how did that weave into, because you're a former fashion designer. You are like, I mean, how did this all happen?
Yeah, so so my background was like I'm Austrian. I studied architecture, I became an artist, and ended up doing fashion. And in along this way, like I got into meditation, and especially after relocating to the United States, like nearly 18 years ago, I constantly meditated. So I learned it from a shaman, and it really helped me a lot. And then I did my first sound meditation. And this sound meditation was really like opening up my eyes and even understanding frequency and vibration, what it did. And it was so dominant to me because like meditating was okay. And I had a very busy life. As you said, I was running a fashion company, traveling a lot, like being very social, being in in whatever we do, like in our daily lives, distracted. And then I found like, okay, meditating is great. And I always did a lot of sports. I was a professional swimmer at one point. So for me, breath work was actually natural. So I understand like how to regulate your system by breathing. And when I did my first meditation with the 520 hertz frequency over sound speakers, it was for me like a total open. I said, I'm really interested in this. What is in there? And a friend of mine back then that I lost contact over many years was already working on 528 hertz, the Lovetuner. And and he told me more and more about it. And I said, listen, we need to get this in a form that everybody can have it. And as I was a product designer, we launched this product now nearly over 10 years ago, but we did not put any effort into this. For us, it was not about, and for me especially, it was not about like creating the next whatever esoteric gimmick. It was about really having something that makes it easy for people to connect and literally understand vibration and frequency, because that's what it's all about. And we constantly talk about when something is negative, you walk on the street, you have street noise, you go like, oh my God. But we never talk about what is really soothing for us, what really helps us, what relaxes us. We, for example, constantly accept bad frequency. You know what I mean? And this was actually my journey when I went into this whole thing, and we had no clue where we were tapping into. It was so big. I had no understanding that our musical scale at one point got recalibrated. That we out of tune. So it became a big thing, and that as we talked earlier before we started the podcast, it's also something that has an impact on society. Like if you're aware of frequency and vibration, then you really can say, okay, is this good for me or is this bad for me? And the more that people are humbled and in a good vibe, they also vibe on a good vibe. It's what comes around goes around. And this is the whole simple thing about this, about frequency and vibration in combination with breath work. And this was like literally what guided me into my own spiritual path. Like I was always interested. I traveled a lot. It was a lot in South America, Asia, long before I started the Lovetuner. And I had somehow this sleeping in me, because it's not something where you go like one day you wake up and go, oh, I'm gonna do frequency and vibration. It's something that is in you, And at one point, it's just the right time in life. And I think this happened to me like about more than 10 years ago. Yeah, this is the journey I'm on.
That's very, very cool. And I find it interesting that, you said you didn't just wake up. And I do feel like, starting to be exploring meditation and meditating because I've used many different tools to help me meditate because I'm always like, am I doing it? Am I even in a meditative state? And so it all began, maybe you heard of it, Muse, the meditation headband Muse. That's how all of that began with me. Cause I'm not like one of those people who could just sit there and go, okay, I'm meditating. But I do find it fascinating how you mentioned we get hit with many different negative frequencies. And here's just a thought. You know how in a relationship, if you don't say enough positive things or give enough affirmation, all they hear is the negative? I would think this is the same kind of concept with frequencies. Do you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, like, when the entire knowledge that I gathered at the beginning was from Emoto, because he wrote this book. I don't know if you know Hidden Messages in Water.
I have it. I have the book. Yes.
This is a genius book for one reason. It's not even about the science in it, but just to see the reaction. And this is very clear. Like, if you talk to water and you swear and whatever, it changes its structure, and you can measure this and see it under the microscope. So we are like 75 to whatever 80% water in our body. Blood is 91%. So when we are exposed to frequency, we react. And this is why, for example, when cops get trained, this is why a cop approaches you in a way like being loud, like boom, there's like right away a frequency that goes towards someone. And this is what we need to understand. We react on frequency. And if you constantly say bad words, if you constantly fight, it really sickens your entire system. And this is why, we talk about toxic relation, we talk about, like bad communication. But this is really where it all comes down to it. You need to be very careful about the frequency you're sending out. I mean, I'm not saying when you have a bad relationship, stay in it and say nice words, then you just split divorce. We know all these possibilities that we have. But at the end of the day, it comes down to also to the self-talk. Self-talk is very important. So when you swear at yourself and you wake up in the morning, and the first word is something swearing, like, oh, fuck, I need to go to work, whatever,
Yeah.
That's not the attitude, like it's, and it sets the tone of the day, and if this is the tone of the day, I believe me, you will be in resonance with exactly this frequency, with swearing, with, being upset, being angry. But if you wake up, even if it's not the best day in the world and it's a Monday morning, but you still can build up your own vibration. And you can say, I'm grateful to be alive. I'm taking in my first breath, not the first breath because you're breathing all the time, but the first conscious breath, and then you start your vibration, you build it up. And this is why, for example, and I mean, it's not about promoting this product, it's really about understanding what frequency does and what vibration does. And what is the easiest thing if you wake up and you tune into a frequency? And don't even think too much about it. Just do a breathing break, because breath work, we all know how beneficial it is. You connect to this frequency and you're setting basically the tone of the day. And it doesn't mean that you might have some negative experiences, but it gives you a different perspective to things, and all the time during the day, you can go back to the state of mind. Either you have your own mind hack where you can zoom out, where you use a Lovetuner, whatever is your modality, not to get sucked into bad vibrations. Mm-hmm. And this is what we need to be very careful of. And we are so exposed to, I mean, I don't want to rattle off about 5G networks and cell phones, because we all know that this is not healthy, and Wi-Fi networks. But this is just a part of our society, and it's very convenient. I mean, we all work from home, and we have the possibility to travel, do our work from the phone. So that's all good. But we also need to be aware of this is all frequency.
Yes.
And it's not a healthy frequency. So if you have time, put your phone away consciously. Like we come home, put your phone away, like try to be with your family or even by yourself, expose yourself to something. What is a good frequency? Hug a tree, it sounds so hippie-esque, but that's really what it is. Trees are here and leaves are here to heal us. And if we get more into tune, take your shoes off, ground yourself. These kind of things that make you really happy, and this is when you understand this and when you get fine-tuned to it, because a lot of people are so far gone that they can tune, they can do whatever they want to do. They will have no experience, because their vibration is so shut down that basically everything is about what they own, what they do, and it's not about being. And this is the only state where humans are happy. You can buy whatever, depending on how much money you have. You can do whatever, depending on how much money you have, but you can always distract from actual being. But the real happiness is when you start to just be, like this whole I am thing, when you really embrace who you are, what you're doing, and you come to a halt, and then you still might adjust in life, and we all have the hassle of the daily life. But if you're already pretty happy by just being, then everything else is just a benefit to it. And this is why it's so important to be really aware of your own vibration, packed against negative frequency, and just to vibe higher, like it. And you see it on the street. A smile can change so much,
Yeah. And you mentioned something like there is such a thing. Unfortunately, I have to be on social media a lot. There's such a thing as vibe, oh, vibe high. And I think you have to work at it. And I think especially given how we live, given like what you were saying, we have Wi-Fi, we have constant, somebody can get a hold of you all the time. I think you and I kind of grew up in the same time frame era. And we grew up back in the day where your parents would yell out the door for you to come home. And we were outside playing in the park with the trees. It was very different than how kids grow up now. And so we have to make more of a conscious effort to vibe high. We have to do more to get to that frequency. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you just mentioned like the generation where we grew up in. And I don't even want to judge if it's better or worse, but I'll tell you one thing. It was for sure more grounding. It was more real. It was more authentic. And when authenticity goes away, everything becomes nothing. It's just like there's no value to it anymore. And this is why I think this is where we need to come back to being authentic, to be authentic about our feelings, but also to be authentic about, being of service and doing stuff. You cannot just receive, it's a take and give. And when you look back into the older generations, I was happy to have a grandma. And she did for something what I way later on understood. Every time when I was like freaking out as a kid, she was the only one. She said, take a breath. And this already, nobody says this anymore. Like this is the basic. We are very complex as a human and as our body, but we also have very basic mechanisms that we can, access to change our state of mind. And when you tell a child like, hey, take a breath, exhale, like calm down. Now tell me what's going on. You will see it shifts the entire energy. It will shift the vibration of the kid. And when you want to take it to the next step is why don't you become a resonance body for your kid? Take your kid and just hum with them. And this is what my grandma always did. And now I understand, oh my God, she was a resonance body. She gave me a hug and she was humming, how beautiful is this? And this is what we should really do. Like, and if we have this understanding, it's like, it doesn't go away. You can be whatever, the toughest person in the world. But if somebody hugs you and hums with you, I mean, you need to be a monster not to open your heart, you know?
Yeah.
And this is what we just need to let in, you know? And this is, I think, what our kids need, what we need. It's just a hug sometimes and a humming and just like, you know, connecting on a heart level.
Yeah. Instead of, I'm listen, most of the people who listen to my podcast have older kids, but, even when my kids were growing up, you see parents who would just throw an iPhone or an iPad at them. And, you know, this is just a little story, but I think you'll be able to appreciate this, Sigmar. When my daughter was little, she would get home from school, and I'm sure people at that time, because she's now 19, so she was very little. When you see kids and their energy, they're literally like flying and bouncing off the walls when they get home from school. I would sit down with my daughter. I would get a chair facing her, and I would put my toes on her toes, and I would hold her hands in the middle, and I would just ask her specific like questions like, who did you have lunch with today? Did you enjoy your time with so and so? And she would resist because I'm trying to ground her so that she can feel better at home instead of having that energy flying all over the place. And now that I look back, because that was a long time ago, I'm like, wow. I feel like almost like your grandmother. Like, I was trying to help her ground and learn what it feels like in your skin. Because we live in this world of anxiety where everybody's, giving themselves a diagnosis of ADHD or anxiety or, without looking inward on how we can help ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, this like talking about anxiety, I mean, our society is really stressful. But if you go back, like, let's say 100 or 200 years, I mean, these people really had stress, you know what I mean? Like if you talk about anxiety, because 200 years ago, you could have been killed somewhere, you know what I mean? It was not a regulated society. Like, and people like whatever conquering the West in the United States, you walked outside a grizzly bear, and this is the real danger, you know what I mean? And now we wake up and people have anxiety and have real problems that are just like nothing gonna happen, you know what I mean? And this is what we need to understand. And we are still wired as if been living in the caves, you know, like so we're still wired on a fight and flight mode. And if we understand how we are wired, we can do something about it. So for example, breath work is the most important thing when something comes up, because what it helps you is you have two nervous system, parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. If you do a conscious breathing break, if you arrive in the here and now, it disconnects, you know, and it takes you out of the fight and flight mode, and it helps you with stress and anxiety. And the most important thing is, if you know already that you suffer from anxiety, don't take it to the next level. You just need to work hard on it. And this is spirituality or mental wellness, well-being in general works in the same way as everything. You know, if you want to become the best, I don't know, professor in mathematics, you need to study a lot. You know, if you want to become the best swimmer in the world, you better swim a lot. So it's whatever you do. And this is like when people go, I change my life tomorrow, I buy a membership in a gym or I go to a yoga class every day. That's a great thing, you know, but you need to go there. You need to do it. And this is the same thing with spiritual practices. You need to do it. And it's not something like, oh, I got it. I do it once.
Yeah.
And when I feel bad in 3 weeks, I do it again. It's something constantly, and it's important to do it constantly. And it's also very rewarding, you know. And obviously, like when you learn difficult sports, you know, like it takes a while, and at one point you go, like, oh my God, that's the best thing I ever did. And
Yeah.
this is the same thing with spirituality, you know, like it's it's sometimes very depressing for people, especially when they start meditating, because you do something, you have little to no effect at the beginning, and then you need to spend so much time with it, you know. And then comes the point where you go, oh, I got it. It's so cool. And then comes the next week and everything is not cool, and this is where you need to stick in. This is where you transform stuff. This is where things come up. But at one point, you have it so integrated in your life, and this is what changes you. What really makes life worth living.
Yeah. And then that's your go-to. You have something, you have a tool that you can always go to, well, when you need it or even when you don't need it. And you never reach, and I say that too about spirituality, even about health, because obviously I talk a lot about health. You never reach a summit. You never reach the top and then say, "All right, I'm done." You're never done. It's like being a lifelong learner. You have to continuously practice because you're going to get new little nuggets and new little findings every time you practice it, I feel.
Yeah, and absolutely. And this is the most important thing. And when you understand this, like it's not a competition. It's just like everybody is on their own journey. And like what you mentioned earlier in my book, I call it One Journey. And this is also the slogan of our company, because it's really your journey. It's one journey. I mean, and everybody is on this journey in a certain way. But if this becomes your thing, like you will look to the left and to the right, and you will see a lot of other people being on their journey. And at one point, it's a journey inward. It's connecting to your heart, getting out of your head into your heart. And on a heart level, we can all connect, because this is, our hearts are always curious. Like our intellect separates us. You look at me and say, "Why is he wearing this stupid trucker hat?" Like this is all this stuff what we have implemented in us. This is just like intellect separates us. We judge and so on and so on. But on the heart level, we are totally curious. Humans are curious. Hearts wants to connect.
Yes.
And this is what we should go back to. And this is where it's so important for the younger generations really understand this, because Dalai Lama said if every 8-year-old would meditate, the next generation would have no war, because this is the understanding. It's the understanding that everything is connected, because on a heart level, we're all connected. And if we understand that we're all connected, then we understand this one is all and all is one. And when you understand this, then there is no escape in a way like, I get more than the other person. Yeah, you might get more financially, but overall it's all equal. It all balances out. And there's a lot of discussion about karma, and we just talked about social media, and people also get about the bad karma and whatever comes, but it's way simpler than it is. Like it's, I don't want to go into the Bible or stuff like this, but if you don't want this for yourself, don't do it to anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah. Simple.
And that's just what it is. And also, with when you said earlier, like everybody does the smallest self-diagnosis. I have anxiety, I have this and that, and I'm bipolar and whatever. It's also something like when you go back 20, 30, 40, 50 years, nobody went out and said, "I have an issue with this or that." People
That's true.
coping with their own thing. And now it's just the thing, I have this and that. And basically, yeah, then you need to deal with it. I mean, it's sad, but you need to deal with it. And it's not about sharing, because you're sharing a consciousness, what is unhealthy. You know, why don't you tell us how beautiful you are? Why don't you tell us how happy you are? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And or tell us how you overcame something bad. Why don't you have to put it in our face what is not right with you?
Yes.
This is like, like it's, and if we are conscious about this, then we also go like, hey, where does my freedom start? Where does your freedom end? In a way, like having healthy boundaries. Like being, you don't have to share this with me. Like keep it to yourself. This is like you're crossing boundaries. This is not necessary. And I think this is when we talk about finding your own vibration, that's real work. You go in and till you really carve out what vibes with you, what is your vibration, no matter if it's good or bad. I mean, there's no bad vibration, but it cannot be in harmony. So then it's dissonance. But what we want is we want to be in harmony. So as much as we can, we want to have a harmonic life. And stuff what is in dissonance with us, we just need to learn to avoid. This is like and you will have no new experiences if you do it over and over in the same old way.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts even in families, but with friends. Sometimes you have friends that just don't want to go on a journey. And then you have these nostalgic friends where you go like, I know them from so long. They're super cool people. They're not on my journey, or they're doing something different. What it is like, you need to be aware of this, and this is like, when you look at, I just came back from a trip and my flight was delayed. And I always say this, like, when the gates are occupied, no new plane can land. And this is the same thing when we are occupied with whatever it is, social media, made up BS, then we are not open to receive something new. So we need to let all those planes go first for new ones to land.
I like that. I like that. And I like your hat. I like it. I think it's very stylish, Sigmar. So let's get into, because people hear about this all the time, these solfeggio frequencies, because 528 hertz is one of them.
Yeah.
Now, what are there, 9 of them? And they all kind of do different things, right? And I know 528 is really a heart opener. And I think from what I researched, it's one of the most potent of the solfeggio frequencies. I never say it right.
Yeah, the solfeggio frequency originally started with they're all healing frequencies. So they're ancient healing frequencies. By the way, all frequencies are not man-made frequencies. Like, this is one thing. It's not that somebody composed those frequencies. They're pure nature. Like, for example, the 528 hertz frequency is the same frequency on the light spectrum. So it's green. And this is why all plants are green, because chlorophyll vibrates on 520 hertz.
So cool.
So, and the solfeggio frequencies have been different frequencies. At the beginning, have been 6, then they added 3, and they're all in a mathematical perfect relation of sound and creation. And they have been used as healing frequencies over many centuries. For example, the Gregorian choirs have been chanting 600 after Christ on 528 hertz. Back then, this was our regular C note. And this is when people go like, hey, what happened with the frequency? Who discovered it? I mean, there's a lot of knowledge out there about it, and there have been scientists. But at the very beginning, this was our musical scale. So our musical scale was absolutely in harmony with the creation, with the source, with the universe, and within our internal system. And the Gregorian choirs have been healing and chanting in their churches. Many communities around the world, in Europe, obviously, and the church was the first institution that said, we don't like this. We don't want to have people in harmony. And literally is when the Gregorian choirs have not been allowed to chant anymore in these communities. And so when people always go back to the source, when was it discovered? Who invented 528 hertz? It was always there. It just got overwritten, it got manipulated, and it kind of disappeared. And about 30 years ago, I think, Horowitz got this awareness back about the 528 hertz frequency. And he wrote a book about it. He's a speaker, and so on and so on. So it was literally, it's a forgotten knowledge. It's nothing new. It's not invented. And then it was, I think in 1978, was this Hans Gusto, is a Swiss scientist. He found this entire relation, planetary relation, to those frequencies. So this is how everything became like kind of scientifically, but it's something like it was never invented. It was always there. And the 528 hertz is the most prominent one because it's the frequency of love, the DNA repair, or the frequency. This is why Lovetuner is calibrated at 528 hertz.
Okay. So it's interesting because I've done a lot of work with frequencies. I've done 963 more for the pineal gland. But just like what you're saying, these frequencies are all around us, right? Like we find them in nature. Like even a thunderstorm has a specific hertz, right? And but from what I understand, there's some research behind this as well that actually has been done to show that these frequencies actually can do specific things, right? It's not just, it's not just hearsay. We know it works.
Yeah, no, it totally works. I mean, it's just like there's not much. I mean, there's a lot of research out there. So like in my book, I go very specific into a lot of research what was made, even from the UCLA, like it has a positive impact about overcoming addiction by 120 hertz, because it literally physically breaks down matter in your body, like we talked about, like addiction to alcohol, it helps you get over methanol addiction because this is what happens when you're alcoholic and what happens in your body system. And it goes all the way to literally overriding DNA. I mean, and this is not something that is made up. These frequencies are powerful. It's just something what is so abstract to us. Because as I said earlier, we are so disconnected to it, we don't even feel the bad vibes anymore. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And just need to get open to it and come back to I mean, uh, Tesla is long forgotten scientist. I mean, he says if you want to understand the universe, think in frequency and vibrations. And and as we know, whatever it's how many trillions of cells we have, it's all one vibrating energy. And this is what it is. Like we are vibrating. It's like there's nothing in this world where it doesn't vibrate. And this is where we have the least knowledge about it. Like I would teach kids in the world, like in schools, touch something and try to really feel and understand vibration of an object. Like touch a tree, touch a leaf, whatever it is, just touch water, to get this feeling, to be fine-tuned again. And then it's also easy where you go like, I feel that this is not a good vibe for me.
Yeah.
And I think it's more about, it's not even the science, because the science is there. You can read many books about it. It's totally proven. It's about why are we not willing to accept this? Why are we not willing to close our eyes and just go beyond? Oh, I can see it, I can smell it, I can whatever. Listen, that's a vibration. Everybody knows vibration. So why even doubt, or even read all those books, go into the science, but change your attitude towards it. You cannot just say, what does this mean? Because everybody has been sitting in a car with a big headache after a long meeting or a stressful work day. So when do you think you got your headache from? From vibrations? No, from vibrations.
I think it's because we're just too distracted, Sigmar. As a whole, as a society, as a world, we're too distracted. We're constantly getting pinged. And I talk about this all the time. It's like, when you and I grew up, if we were working on something in school and we were researching a topic, we would break out the big Encyclopedia Britannicas and we would look through and we would research. And now I just have to type it into Google and boom, AI will give me everything I need to know in seconds. So, how much is that pinging my brain all day long if I don't take a break? And how good is that? I'm a human, I'm not a robot.
Yeah, this is why we live in this constant overload. This is why um, digital detox is very important. Really put your phone away, and including me, I use it way too much.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great way to work anywhere you are. You constantly check in, always reachable, but it comes with a price. And this is why you need to put this phone to the side and really dedicate time with your family. And also try to get your kids off those devices because that's, for example, really bad vibration. I've seen a kid being on the phone for 2 hours and then have a smile and jump around.
True.
completely depressed, totally depleted, and he wants more, because that's what it is. Yeah, I mean, there's a big lobby out there. There's a lot of money to be made. And so this is why we need to be even extra careful with all the benefits these technologies have. We need to be careful how to regulate it for ourselves, for our children, and for the next generation, because they can take over. And this is what we don't want. We want to be as much human as we can. We want to have everything what life has to offer. We don't want to be machines, We don't want to have a chip and all this stuff. I mean, it's a creative, like, utopian idea, but we are already robots. What more do you want? You know what I mean?
True.
And this is like even going back in our generation. I mean, when we have been kids, we did not have this control mechanism. It was just like, come back before it gets dark. I mean, nobody cared about anything. It was not even, nobody talked about food, because food was probably, I mean, at least in Europe, it was way healthier, and people ate whatever they wanted. It became a big thing, but we had extreme freedom. Like, kids nowadays don't have freedom, and including me when my kids have been teenagers. At one point, we got this app where everybody knew where everybody is, and obviously you also worry way too much. Like,
True.
I mean, I think my mom really loved me. She was never checking where I am because it was impossible.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you're not home when it gets dark, people get worried. And this is what we need to really embrace again. Like, disconnect, to fine tune, to feel the vibrations, what is healing and good for us, and stop doubting it. And I see it so often because, I mean, this is why I wrote this book. I have to show you real quick. This is my book, and it's called One Journey, the Lovetuner book. And the main reason I was writing this book is because of all those questions about frequency and vibration. And I have never seen so much skepticism about something what is till the beginning of time. Everything started with the Big Bang. It's all sound and frequency and energy.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what people just need to wake up. It's like this is the core of our life, the heartbeat, our breath, everything. And then to even doubt frequency and vibration it's just not very smart.
So I just want to ask you, because there's different ways to tap into these different frequencies. This is not the same as binaural beats.
No, binaural beats is actually a manipulation of your brain. So you play whatever frequency you want to play. Obviously, you should play something what is healing, and then you have a frequency that overlaps. It has a little bit of a different frequency, and it makes this wave, a sound wave, and it feels to us like if you would get a brain massage. So binaural beats are super cool, and they can do a lot. It's like whatever you have, if you have someone that understands it, you can even compose it yourself. I had a nerve injury, for example, and a friend of mine that composed for me a frequency was 528 hertz. And we did, I think, a 2 hertz difference, and then it overlapped, and it helped me regrow a nerve in no time.
That's amazing.
I had really like a bad accident that cut in one of the main nerves in my hand, and people said, "You will never surf again because I'm an artist. You will never paint again." And I just didn't want to, settle with this. And then I said, "Listen, I'm doing frequency. This is what I do." And I did every morning with my headphones. It was not a tune. It was like sound I was listening to, binary beats. And I was listening to it for 1.5 hours in the morning with my headphones, did all my emails, and I fell asleep to it for, I don't know how long it was running, but I fell asleep. And to regrow a nerve, where they told me it would take years, within not even a year, the nerve was regrown.
It's fascinating.
So binary beats, again, it's a manipulation of the brain based on the different frequencies, but solfeggio frequencies as long-standing frequencies. It's very different.
And then I was reading, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not 100% sure on this, but some famous musicians like the Beatles and Bob Marley have a lot of their music written in 528 hertz. And music can really change our vibration. So interesting because I am massive lover of music and I have very eclectic tastes. I'll listen to anything. And I tend to gravitate towards different music that I feel I need. So if I feel like I need to get a cry out because I just can't cry, I'll listen to music that will help me get that emotion dealt with so that I can move on. And what do you think about the power of music? And I think some music can be harmful too.
Yeah, so first of all, I mean, music is the most important things we have. Like music and dancing. This is something so important. To get your chakras going. But when it comes to music, and especially when you talk about Imagine from John Lennon, it's the most, love and peace song for the 50 years already. And he composed it in 520 hertz. So, and the reason Bob Marley did it and some other artists is because they had the knowledge. They knew exactly what I'm talking about right now. That our musical scale got changed. And the first time the church did it in the medieval. Adolf Hitler did it before the Second World War. He manipulated the musical scale. And then it got institutionalized through the Rockefeller Foundation. They changed it. And the entire musical scale is based on the A note. So an A back in the days was 444 hertz. And when you have A on 444, you have 528 hertz on the C note. So this is what those artists did. But this was nothing special. I mean, for them it was special because it was already after our musical scale got manipulated. But this is how music was. Music was fully harmonic, fully healing, and that's why it's so important that humans listen to good music. And I'm not talking about your taste in music, but like harmonic music. And meanwhile, there's even software out there where you can run your music and it pitches it to 528 hertz. And there's a big movement out there. And I work with a lot of electronic DJs because electronic music, and I mean, I listen to everything. I'm a big fan of country music and
Me too. Me too.
very, very old reggae. But the electronic music right now is the music of the generation. This music can really be changed easy because it's electronic. You can adjust your synthesizer. Boom, you have harmonic music. And that's actually beautiful because this music can be the music of the spiritual revolution if you do it right. This is why, I talk to a lot of DJs and I bring this awareness to musicians. And I say, listen, guys, it will sound the same, but it's just healing. This music will touch your heart. This is why I can say this on your podcast to all the musicians out there. Please research what it means to be in tune and what it means to tune your instrument to 520 hertz because it will really change your music and how people will react.
I love that. Oh my God. Because, okay. I was walking my dog, and I always walk my dog in the park. And then I usually come down across, there's a high school um, near where I'm walking home. And, like teenagers, they have their music blaring in the car. And I also like all kinds of music. But this music was so angry, Sigmar. Like it was so like there was nothing that was melodic about it. And I found myself just wanting to go faster away from it because I think that I'm very sensitive to energy. So this is why whenever I record with somebody, I like to have a conversation. I don't just automatically go, okay, let's start. I like to connect and kind of energetically connect with people. And because I'm very sensitive to that. And I also feel when people connect, it makes for a better recording. But I'm sensitive to it. So I would guess that there's some music that I'm not saying it would harm anyone, but I'm just saying it could be less, I don't know, open-heartish type music. I don't know how to describe it. Like, I don't want to criticize the music of all these teenagers these days, but I don't know.
Completely. Because I write about this in my book, and this is like, you can even play frequencies in a way, and they call it the devil's note.
Oh,
Not even a tone, but it does something negative. It's a negative frequency. And this really exists. And in a motor, for example, he played some music to water, and the water completely destructured.
yeah.
And when you play the 528 hertz frequency, for example, even polluted water went back in the original hexagonal shape of a water crystal. So this is the same thing that happens in our body. This is why it's so complex, frequency and vibration, because it's all over the place. And this is why music, what we listen to, if this would be harmonic, it would be perfect for our system. The entire society would be more happy. But all the knowledge that we have, what is out there, you can always manipulate frequencies. You can make exactly a frequency, like a lot of electronic devices have a certain frequency that does something to you, what is not good for you. End of story. And maybe it happened on accident. In big corporations, nothing happens on accident. There's a reason why frequencies are negative, because people have the knowledge. It's written since hundreds of years. It's out there. You know exactly which frequency you can expose to people, what is positive and what is negative. And we, just as a society, we need to wake up to this and go like, hey, listen, we don't want this. We want something that makes us feel good.
Yes.
And I think, this is happiness is our birthright. And I think we should take it wherever we can get it. And you know it when you go into a room and you feel a certain vibration, and you go like, that's a good vibe, like a bad vibe.
Totally.
You spend like whatever nice dinner with friends. It's not even about what you're talking about. It's this vibration where you go away and you feel like uplifted and you feel like, oh, that was really cool. It was a positive experience because it was a positive vibe. So sometimes you leave a meeting or whatever it is, and then you go, oh, it's training. That means the vibration wasn't right.
Yeah, it's true. And I'm a nutritionist. I always look at different aspects of really, I'm going to say, because my book that I'm working on is called Bridging the Gap Between Science and Soul, because I feel like I'm always in the middle. Yes, I do believe in science, but I believe in a lot of things that it might not be 100% explainable. But the one thing that, if you're going to look at our bodies, we were talking about water and blood and what we're comprised of. And then there's electrolytes. We would die if our electrolytes were really off. That could kill us. Does that not say that we are electrical beings? We run on frequencies and electricity, right? So different things can throw us off very easily. So it's really a way at looking at all of these different frequencies and 528 and seeing it can have a massive impact on our overall wellness.
Yeah. And you just mentioned it, you're a nutritionist. One really great advice is when you cook, for example, I happen to have a very, very busy life, and I was eating in restaurants sometimes straight for weeks. And then even when it's good restaurants, now I'm not charging the food right now, but it's the energy. Every time when I came home after a long trip, I was so happy to have a homemade meal. Not because it tastes better or whatever. I was lucky I always got good food at home, but what it is, it's the energy. It's the person that makes this food. And often we also come home and, like nowadays, most women are working, and on top of it, they have the stress of running their family. So they're like two CEOs, they go to work and then managing the entire family. So you have somebody coming home, preparing dinner. There's a certain energy in there. They need to get rid of this energy because the energy goes right into the food. And what we figured out is like when you cook and you use the tuna and you tune, the same thing is I do it often, like not regular, but I do it in the morning all the time. I tune my water. I take a glass of water, I tune it. I've seen it under the microscope. We have it on our homepage on lovetuner.com. You literally see how water restructures and you're drinking structured water. So it's like, and in the kitchen, when you cook, it's not that you tune all the time, make it religious or whatever, and don't even think about spirituality. Just go like, oh, I had a stressful day, now I'm cooking, I put my tune out, I tune 4 times 5, whatever you like, and then you cook, you turn the music on, and this creates energy, and this energy goes into the food that you serve your family.
I've been doing this, actually using the Lovetuner every single morning. And I do it sometimes everybody's still asleep. I wake up very early. I go to bed early too. I'm like a baby. So but I'll quietly use it in the morning because I like to write in the morning. Often the sun is just rising and I'll use my Lovetuner and it's almost like it sets the pace for my day. And it actually helps me with my creativity as well. Because, like I was explaining, I'm kind of in the middle of the world of science and structure, but then I'm also in that creative side, which is really important to me. And then, and I actually talked about this before. It's really interesting. So you mentioned how many times for people who are watching this, I know you've got yours. This is mine. And it's just like a tiny little flute, but it incorporates not only the 528 hertz frequency, but also the breath work. So it's very different than what's out there. Do you want to talk about that, Sigmar?
So the Lovetuner basically like it comes in this can. And it's a little thing. You put it on, it's a single tone flute. It's calibrated to 520 hertz. I'm not playing it because for whatever reason, Zoom always filters it out. I think you will not hear it on your recording, but maybe you can add it later on. So what you basically do is you take this little single tone flute, which is calibrated to 520 hertz. You do a conscious breathing rate. You inhale through your nose, you exhale through your nose, and you should do at least like 6 cycles. And what it does, it basically the breath work brings you in the here and now. And the frequency is the healing part of it, on top of it. And the 520 hertz frequency is understood the medical frequency, the love frequency. So on a spiritual level, you're inviting love in your life. And it's the first, it's a patent product that I invented. And what it literally does, it combines breath work with sound healing. And it's a super easy device. You wear it around the neck and that's it. And there's a lot of stuff out there right now about breath work and a lot of stories what people are telling. And you see all this glorified like metal straws where people pay $100. And you can go to Starbucks and cut one of those straws and just blow through it. And we, for example, work with a hospital in Germany. And when people come back lung diseases, and they're building the lung strength, the lung volume. They get this like little plastic tubes with a little ball in there, and the doctor watches them how high they can blow it up. And they replace, for example, those devices in one hospital and use the Lovetuner because the Lovetuner gives you a perfect audible feedback on your breath work. So it's not about you need to watch anything or you just blow into a straw where you don't really know if you're doing it right. This thing gives you audible feedback, and as long as the tone is steady and consistent, this is when your lung has a perfect flow. This is when you do the right breath work. And you inhale again and make the tone again. So you have a consistent long nose. It's not a competition, but you should try to get whatever, the beginning 10, 15 seconds, and then you go all the way up 30 seconds, so on and so on. And then you also see if you are in an anxious state of mind or if you're relaxed. Because when you don't think about anything, you will recognize that you can exhale way longer than if your thoughts are all over the place.
True.
And so, like, I mean, I see this by myself, and I tune now for so long already. But if something is really going on in your life and you go, I need my tuner, the first tune is kind of like a hectic tune. You really recognize, oh, I'm not there. Like, I'm barely doing 10 seconds. And then you go, wait a minute. And then you inhale, exhale. And by doing it, and after the sixth cycle, you're really like relaxed, like you're in a balanced state of mind. And the most important, what I always tell people is real power lays in the 30 seconds after the tuning session where you stay in total silence. So let everything fill in, like stay in the 30 seconds. And, people always talk about, I have no time for meditation. And I don't want to tell anybody shortcut your meditation, but love tuning or using the tuner is really a shortcut to it. So like when you go like into transcendental meditation, it takes at least 20 minutes. These 6 cycles can take whatever, depending on the exhale, a couple of minutes, but you're right there. You rebalance, and then you continue whatever you have been doing before. And this is the most important thing of tuning, because this is what I recommend people. If you don't wear it like this, wear it under your shirt or have it in your pocket, have it next to you, because tuning in the morning is great for setting the tone. Tuning in the evening is great, like to phase out like the day. But in between, we have so much time, where we actually can always recalibrate. You sit in a car, you're late for an appointment. I mean, you cannot close your eyes, but let's do 3 cycles in the car real quick, and you will see it changes everything, like in no time. And we just need to integrate stuff like this, because ignorance doesn't lead us to anywhere. Like we need to see, okay, this is an option we have. If we do it regular, it recalibrates our body. And I mean, you tune us since a while.
Yeah.
And when you recognize now after tuning, you feel that your system is calibrated. It just feels different. And often it is, the most important thing is to keep on doing it. So I see often people that go in and go like, oh, it really helped me so much. And then they forget it somewhere. They don't do it for 3 weeks. And then they come back and go like, oh, I really felt it after 3 weeks that I needed. And then they tell me, but it was so frustrating because I had to start from scratch again. I mean, it's not really scratch, but it's important to stay calibrated. It's like, and this combination of sound and breath work, you become your own composer, you become your own resonance machine. Like it's, and I told you my first meditation experience was 528 hertz, was through a speaker. So I was meditating. The person put us guided breathwork session with the sound, and it was very powerful. But the difference to listening to 528 hertz and using the Lovetuner is you become your own instrument. You are really vibing, and we measure this so it aligns your water molecules. The frequency not only goes into your body, it goes out of your body up to 8 feet, so like 2.5 meters. And this is why tuning with a partner or tuning in a group is so powerful. Like really.
Yeah, right. I mean, I highly believe that you resonate. It resonates beyond internal, because I think I talked about this. So when I first started using it, and I still use it regularly, and by the way, of course you have to keep doing it. For those of you who are listening, it's just like saying, oh, I'm going to eat healthy for 3 weeks and then I'm going to eat McDonald's every day. It doesn't work like that. Like you just got to make it a part of your life. But I was noticing other people's reaction to me. And that was the really cool thing, because I knew how I was vibing, but I was affecting the energy of people around me, where people kind of smile at you. You know how it is. You go, like a lot of times you go out these days, there's road rage and people who are always rushing, and it was like a different response. People would just look over and smile in the grocery store. And it's like you were saying, it's contagious.
It is. It is. See, you literally vibe higher. That's what it is. And people are attracted to it. And the story you was just telling, like a lot of people tell me, like I go out and I go in the supermarket and people smile at me. Do you think it's related to the Lovetuner? I said, it's not the Lovetuner, it's you. You are vibrating higher because of what you do. If you find something else that makes you vibrate higher, that's great. But in this case, I know where it's coming from. But it's literally the person.
Yeah.
And they vibrate higher and they have like better experiences. And this, like the most thing what people tell me is people smile at me. What it, they have a communication now because it's like if you turn on the light, like somebody goes in the darkness and somebody turns on the light. And this is the beauty of 528 hertz. It doesn't allow anything negative. It's like darkness cannot exist in the light. This is the whole concept of 520 hertz. And it's this living frequency that, I don't want to sound religious, but it's a divine frequency. And it does miracles.
So what would be, because we've already we've touched on a lot, but I just want to make sure that it's clear because people are seeing a lot of these ads on TikTok, on, like you see all these like ads. This is not the same. And Sigmar, I would love for you to explain the difference so that people know that it's not, you did touch on it, but it's clearly not the same. Oh, and I remembered what I wanted to say. The one thing I noticed about Lovetuner, and it's really, really cool, because when you're tuning, I hear it in my ears afterwards. So it's really weird. Like the first time I did it, I was like, okay, that's interesting. Because there's a difference between listening to music, like you said, the song Imagine, John Lennon. And it gives you a good feeling inside when you hear it. But with Lovetuner, you're doing the breath work. And then it's almost like my ears and everything kind of becomes attuned to that frequency. Does that sound right? Like normal? I don't know.
That's very normal because you literally, this little tool, when you have it in your mouse, it literally vibrates.
Yes.
Vibration. And this is why people sometimes say, oh, I feel like it electrified me, I feel like vibing, and I still hear it afterwards. And when people tune a lot, they tell me also a story, they go outside with. I was just in Hawaii. We did a tuning in the jungle. And one person stopped and said, listen, the trees are doing it already. And we tuned into these trees and this jungle setup. And it was unbelievable because you hear this frequency. The more you in tune with, you pick it up in nature. You go like, that's 520 hertz because it's there. It's right there.
So cool.
And it's a beautiful thing. And it's like, when we launched, we didn't do any marketing or anything. This was not my purpose because Lovetuner is more than a product. It's really a love and peace mission. And as you explained earlier, I did different businesses that gave me also the possibility not to jump in there and sell thousands right away and make advertising and so on. So the first couple of years, we only did research. So we went into schools. So we have this people that work with us. They call Lovetuner team writers. They're advocates. They help us, spread the love. Let's call it this way. And me personally, I went even into elementary schools, local schools here, and we learned kids how to tune. So this was the first thing. And as this was very new when we started, I said, where do we get the real feedback? Because whomever you show it to, people who are spiritually advanced, they go like, yeah, I totally understand. I know solfeggio frequencies. I know Tesla. I know everything. And I have the spiritual understanding. But kids, they don't care. They have no layers. They have no filters. They go like, yeah, or they go like, nay.
Yeah.
I remember the first time we did it, it was a local elementary school. Sit down, it was loud in the classroom. We started tuning, and in no time, every kid picked up the tune and they all tuned. And what happened afterwards was unbelievable. was in one semester, we eliminated bullying in all classrooms where they tuned. The grades went up, and the kids had a little better understanding. Like it was, like kids go to the same class. It doesn't mean necessarily that they're best friends. But after tuning, they accepted not even like being best friends, but hey, we are one group. We are all one. We are one classroom. We are one school. And this was beautiful to see. And the interesting part is that the kids stick with this more than the teachers. Because for teachers, they're so in their routine already. And we teamed up. So I have a foundation, it's called the Lovetuner Foundation, where we really donate a lot of Lovetuners into the school systems. We give it to underprivileged children. We work with veterans to overcome PTSD, and it's really working, and also with suicide prevention. But the most interesting thing is we are supporting another charity, what is actually, and they call it Educate the Educator. And it's a system where they basically try to educate teachers to the classrooms, because this is the biggest problem that we have. Like our society is so set in their ways that it's not the kids. The kids do everything what they like to do, and this is a positive thing. But often it's the adults and the teachers that just don't get it. This is why this education is so important. And as I said, this is what we did for many years. And we got commercial a little bit successful, and we get more and more successful. And obviously at this point, a lot of copycats came out. And the first ones was like these people that came out with stories about monks using metal straws and doing breathwork. It's just like, it's a great concept of marketing. It's not much behind it. It's like, we have there's a lot of knowledge behind it, a lot of passion behind it, and there's also a lot of spiritual wisdom behind it. So people don't get fooled about this. There's a lot of products out there because it's hip right now. Frequency, vibration, breathwork, that's the thing. But just be careful that you don't lose it.
That's good to know. And I think that it works because I've been using it for a while. And I do know that it's available throughout, like it's worldwide shipping, right? Like you ship worldwide?
We have fulfillment center in Europe, the States, and also in South America. And it's lovetuner.com. I think in the States we ship free shipping nationwide. So it's also on Amazon. Lovetuner.com is the one source.
It's an amazing device. I can attest, and most people who listen to me know that when I get very excited about something, it's hard for me to contain that. So, is there anything that we didn't touch on that you'd like to touch on? I think we had a really great conversation about this, but I just want to make sure if you have any last words.
Yeah, I mean, like when it comes to science and about the background of the Lovetuner and channel frequency and healing, I would recommend people to check out my book, because it's really it's a little bit about the story of Lovetuner, but it's mainly about the knowledge about frequency and how they integrate it into your life. Mindfulness in the corporate world, mindfulness in your own family. It also talks a lot about music. So it's on Amazon. It's called One Journey, the Lovetuner book. And I think it's a great addition to have a Lovetuner to get, information integrated in your life.
Yes, for sure. Let's see if we can get my husband to try it, Sigmar. I don't know. I don't know. He's pretty open about most things, but it's only because I advocate for them. So I will keep you posted.
Absolutely. You need to spread it outside to nail it.
Exactly. It's all about that feminine, masculine energy balance, right? Thank you so much, Sigmar. I really, really loved my conversation with you. I really appreciate you.
Thank you, Sandy, and thank you for being such a running advocate for the Lovetuner. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I love your show, and you make a lot of people happy.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this episode. be sure to share it with someone you know might benefit. And always remember, when you rate, review, subscribe, you help to support my content and help me to keep going and bringing these conversations to you each and every week. Join me next week for a new topic, new guest, new exciting conversations to help you live your best life.